legal defense fund for Governor Sarah Palin, set up by a political action committee calling itself Free American Citizens, which is a free enterprise advocacy group that complains about, among other things, mandatory seatbelt laws. The defense fund inspired by none other than Bill O'Reilly, who promised to kick in $1,000 American. So, in our number one story in the countdown, with friends like that, why should Governor Palin be concerned about the escalating public enmity with her former future son-in-law, Levi Johnston? The governor now complete with Sarah Palin's defense fund, the director of freeamericancitizens.org, Clayton Paisley, saying, quote, O'Reilly said someone needs to put together a fund. I already had one in progress. I asked how quickly we could get it up. And boom, we had it up the next day. Back to that mouse again. Indeed, Billo, looking into the camera, as if speaking directly to the governor, said, quote, I'll do you the solid if you set up a defense fund. Here, I'll publicize it for you. I'll kick in $1,000. As for Governor Palin's actual and flailing political career, her spokeswoman says she will be holding a fundraiser for Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski, a fellow Republican. This ostensibly evidence that Palin really will not be challenging for that Senate seat. Meantime, Mr. Johnston, having made his post-breakup TV debut on the Tyra Banks show and having been severely upbraided by a Palin family statement, was back at the well with the early show's Maggie Rodriguez. Johnston talked about how the governor treated him and when that changed.
She was great. I mean, she treated me like a mom. I think she'd do anything for me at the time, and now I don't know. I think it was all when she lost. That's when it started happening. When she got back, I think it's when it went downhill. They said I didn't live there. I stayed there. I was like, okay, well, whatever you want to call it. I had my stuff there, so if you want to call it staying there, that's fine. But
you had all your things there, yeah. Toothbrush, pajamas,
yeah.
Stayed there every night.
For a while, yeah. So
they're lying.
Yeah.
Let's turn to CQPolitics.com columnist, MSNBC political analyst Craig Crawford. Good evening, Craig.
More gifts just in time for Easter.
I'm telling you, it never stops. Governor Palin now has a defense fund. Is that a sign that she's hitting the big time?
Yeah, you'd think it was some sort of badge of honor, the way politicians just haven't arrived on the national level until they get a scandal, hire lawyers, and form a defense fund. This one's, wouldn't you know, Palin's found a wrinkle, made a wrinkle of this one because this is an outside group. It's a little questionable how she can even accept money from this group. Plus, she's going to later, they say, set up her own legal defense fund. So it could get, she may need a legal defense fund to defend against the legal defense fund.
Now, she may need one against Levi Johnston, too, because the problem first reads as soap opera, but it keeps screaming politics soon as well here, because the more that Mr. Johnson speaks out, the more he seems to contradict that picture that Sarah Palin had painted when she was running for vice president, the story that she would still have us believe about the interactions with her daughter and this man.
And there's something in this, the inarticulateness of this kid that almost makes him seem more genuine. And I think he is doing some real damage because he sort of lifted the curtain, lifted the veil on behind the scenes, and it doesn't look quite like it was presented. I think we're going to find this may be one story that she doesn't have Teflon to protect against.
Now, back to this legal defense fund for a second. What is it with tightwads pretending that they're being generous here? I have a chart. I had this chart made up of donations made by 8 p.m. cable hosts in the last month. Billo made this big deal about $1,000 to a Sarah Palin defense fund. Nancy Grace, screaming on the left, teared up and sent out a video press release because she bought 100 boxes of Girl Scout cookies for our troops. With the high-end price is $4 a box. She ponied up exactly $400, and I gave $25,000 to the It Happened to Alexa Foundation, at which O'Reilly spoke, and I've mentioned it on the air once before tonight. Is generosity being more loosely defined than it used to be?
It does seem like generosity is being dummied down, doesn't it? I think in some cases it's clear it's for show, and it's OPM, other people's money. In other words, you're getting lots of people to contribute to the cause and take credit for it when you're only not putting that much of your own skin in the game. I think in the long run, charitable contributions from a journalist to a politician ought to be considered a little different and suspect and wrong, but that's a different world Mr. O'Factor lives in.
He might have just given her some Girl Scout cookies. That would have been a thing. Quickly, practically speaking, Palin's not going to go after Murkowski's seat. Then what is it? What's the odds-on favorite?
It was never clear she was really serious about that, and if she was, though, she might have taken a look at her polls. Her overall approval rating is about 10 points lower than Murkowski's. Her negative rating is 15 points higher than Murkowski's, and her very negative rating, Sarah Palin, and among Alaskans, is 3 times Murkowski's. So that might be a reason. But down the road, there's another Senate seat in 2014 in the presidential race, or re-election for governor. So plenty of options for her, I guess.
But those numbers you quote, that's how you get to host a fundraiser rather than have a fundraiser hosted for you. Craig Crawford of CQPolitics.com and MSNBC, as always. Many thanks, Craig.
You bet.
That's Countdown for this, the 2,160th day since the previous president declared mission accomplished in Iraq. I'm Keith Olbermann. Good night and good luck.